The PlayStation Store is running a great retro sale right now, and a lot of games are discounted, and a lot of these games I imagine many of you don't have in your library. You don't have a lot of those recent heavy hitters discounted. You don't have games like Resident Evil 2, Sekiro, Devil May Cry 5, and some of the more recent games, or even the major PlayStation 4 exclusive discounted. However, you do have a lot of hidden gems and a lot of notable titles discounted that a lot of you guys probably are missing from your library, so I want to highlight some of the best deals out of this sale. We've got 10 deals to go over, so without further ado, let's get right into it. One of the publishers that really have made an impact this generation is THQ Nordic, and they've got Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition at 50% off down to $14.99. God, I hate that title. I think Remastered Edition is just a horrible title for a game. I just wish they called it Remastered Edition or whatever the case may be, but Red Faction Guerrilla is an awesome game. I love this game back when it released all the way back in 2009, I believe. So yeah, it's been quite a while. After Guerrilla, we got Red Faction Armageddon, which wasn't very good, and since then, Red Faction has been absent in terms of new game releases. However, we got Red Faction Guerrilla redone on the PlayStation 4, and it still holds up pretty well. This is a game that's really highlighted by its destructibility. It makes the game so chaotic. The story is a little bit cliche, but it's still there. You're really going into Red Faction Guerrilla for the excellent gameplay, and that is absolutely here, and for just $15, I do think this is a pretty good buy. Next up, I do want to give a shout to the Prototype Biohazard bundle, which is 70% off for $14.99. Activision, for whatever reason, decided to release this bundle at a $49.99 price point, which was just crazy. This should have been around this $15 price point from the get-go, given that these are really just ports. These aren't even straight remasters, but it does include Prototype 1 and Prototype 2, which are some of the more underrated open-world superhero games. Now, Prototype 1 had the unfortunate distinction of being released right around the same time as Infamous back in 2009 as well, and there was really this battle going on what was going to be the better superhero game. Was it going to be Prototype or was it going to be Infamous? Well, it goes without saying that Infamous was far and away the better superhero game. However, Prototype offered its own flair of fun as well. The only issue with Prototype really was from a visual standpoint. This game really did look like just a good PlayStation 2 game rather than it being a PlayStation 3 game, and now in 2019, obviously, the visuals hold up less so as well. However, for the gameplay, for the story, that's still pretty good, and the bundle includes Prototype, Prototype 2, and the DLC for Prototype 2, and those two games for $15, I would say that's a pretty good deal. Next up, we've got Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars. Zone of the Enders is another one of those franchises that has really gone to the wayside in recent years. Hideo Kojima did a great job with this game, and unfortunately, given that it's a Kojima and Konami product, I imagine that we're not going to see another Zone of the Enders title for a very long time, and that is a little bit of a bummer given that we don't have a lot of great mech-based games these days, but Zone of the Enders 2 is still really good, and this version makes it even better. Full-length remaster of a classic fast-paced 3D robot action game recreated in VR as well, native 4K and in full surround sound. For storytelling standpoints, I would recommend you to play the first game. Unfortunately, this remaster is just of the second game, which is a bummer given that there was a collection released on the PlayStation 3, which was just an HD remaster. This is more so a remake, but that collection on the PS3 included games 1 and 2. Would have liked to see Zone of the Enders 1 also get the second runner treatment, but nonetheless, for $15, I think this is a pretty good buy as well. Next up, we have Shadow of the Colossus, which isn't seeing a steep discount. However, it is 35% off, knocking it down to $12.99. It's already priced very well at $19.99, and Shadow of the Colossus is widely considered by many to be one of the best PlayStation 2 games of all time. The real issue with the game came from a technical standpoint. It was just so far and away ahead of its time that from a performance standpoint, it did lag behind a little bit, but now on the PlayStation 4, those shackles have been completely removed, and if you're playing the game on the PlayStation 4 Pro, even better. This game still holds up as one of the best looking games on the PS4, and do keep in mind that this isn't a remaster. While a game like Red Faction Guerrilla was a remaster, Prototype was just a port, this is done by Bluepoint Games, and this is a full-on remake of Shadow of the Colossus done for the PlayStation 4. It looks great, it still plays great, and it still holds up as one of the best games of this generation. I would highly give it a recommendation. I know that for some of you guys, if you're a younger gamer, you don't see Shadow of the Colossus being this iconic game that I do, but it is absolutely that, and I would highly recommend you to play it, especially at just $13. Next up, we've got a very nice discount on Dragon's Crown Pro. That is 50% off for $14.99. This is a game done by Vanillaware, the guys that also brought you Muramasa the Demon's Blade, and even longer ago, Odin Sphere, and Odin Sphere Left Tracer is also discounted, although it's $30, which is a very high price point. Couldn't really give that a recommendation, given it's so expensive, but Dragon's Crown Pro being down to $15, I do think this is a pretty good buy. You got that similar style, visually pleasing 2D action RPG. You've got some additional content here, refined painted artwork and 4K compatibility. Exploring dungeons and battling dragons has never looked so spellbinding. The soundtrack of Swords and Sorcery has also been revamped and re-recorded by a live orchestra. Looks great, plays great, and it does have cooperative play, so that adds another layer to the gameplay. For $15, I think it's a quality buy. Next up, here's a game that I really dug back in 2015. It is 50% off for $9.99, and that is Axiom Verge. Axiom Verge is a Metroidvania title done by Thomas Happ. Yes, one person created the entirety of this game, and this is an action-adventure you've been waiting decades for. After a lab accident, a scientist awakens in a mysterious alien world. Is this a distant planet, the far future, or a complex virtual reality computer simulation? If you're a fan of Metroidvania titles, if you're a fan of games like Super Metroid or the old Castlevania titles, this is going to be right up your alley, and at the same time, it's been modernized with cool effects and gameplay refinements that make it cater towards a modern audience as well. It's held up in price for quite a while, given that it's over 4 years old, but at $9.99, I think Axiom Verge is a great buy, and I would give it a recommendation. Next up, we have Gravity Rush Remastered, which is 70% off for $8.99. This is another game and a franchise that I always go to bat for, whether it be Gravity Rush 1 or Gravity Rush 2. I always recommend these games, and in this case, we have Gravity Rush Remastered discounted by 70%. Now, do keep in mind that this is originally a PlayStation Vita title, so keep your expectations visually in line. However, based on the visual style a game like this uses, the watercolor art style, it holds up really well on the PlayStation 4, and this is a game and a series in general that unfortunately has not seen the commercial success that it really deserves. Gravity Rush is an awesome game with a very unique gameplay, a great cast of characters, a good story, and again, highlighted by that great gameplay. And at $8.99, I would give Gravity Rush a strong recommendation. Unfortunately, I doubt that we're ever going to see another game. However, let's try to keep Gravity Rush alive through a cult following. I always recommend the first game, and Gravity Rush 2 is fantastic as well. Unfortunately, that isn't on sale, but for now, check out GR1 at $9. It's a great buy. Next up, a franchise that recently has been making waves over here stateside is Yakuza, and Yakuza Kiwami is a relatively good entry point for the franchise, and it is 50% off for $9.99. Now, ideally, I would recommend you guys to play Yakuza 0 and then make your way into Yakuza Kiwami. Yakuza 0, as the title would suggest, is a prequel to this game. Yakuza Kiwami is a remake of the very first Yakuza game, and that is, of course, the first game that was ever released. And it is a great game. It does show its age a little bit, but this Kiwami version does refine it, and you get a ton of gameplay, a great story here. Honestly, the Yakuza games, as far as a long-running series go, might be one of the better stories woven across all games. There's Yakuza 0, and there's 6 mainline Yakuza games, and they're working on releasing those games on the PS4. At this point, we've had Yakuza 0, we have Kiwami, Kiwami 2, and then Yakuza 6 has also been released. Hopefully, Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 make its way on the PS4 and over here to the West as well, because those would be great to play. And of course, the Yakuza team also did recently release Judgment on the PlayStation 4. Great game as well, but Yakuza Kiwami, 50% off for $9.99. A great buy here. If you are looking for a game with a little bit of an edge to it, variety in the gameplay, a lot of content, but does have that Japanese influence attached to it as well. Okay, next up we have Wipeout Omega Collection, which is 60% off for $7.99. Another one of these criminally underrated PlayStation franchises. You'll notice that Sony and PlayStation have a lot of these. Maybe it's because they don't go back to the well over and over again, and they try to create these compelling franchises. I mean, they have established series like God of War, Killzone, Uncharted, Last of Us, whatever the case may be, but they also have these franchises like Gravity Rush and Wipeout that unfortunately don't garner as much traction. And Wipeout Omega Collection is a great series of arcade racers. This includes content from Wipeout 2048, Wipeout HD, and Wipeout HD Fury, all in one package, all at $7.99. If you want a quality arcade racer, you'll absolutely find that here. And if you do have PlayStation VR, this game is one of the best VR experiences you can find, and it really accentuates PlayStation VR. It's not even promoted as a VR title. That VR update came after the launch of the game, but it turned out really well. And with that update, it makes it an even more compelling game. And lastly, Bioshock the Collection is 75% off, down to $14.99. This includes Bioshock 1, 2, and Bioshock Infinite. $15 for this, and I've recommended this so many times, essentially $5 a pop for these games. Bioshock 1 and Bioshock Infinite are a masterclass in first-person shooting game development, and Bioshock 2, while I wouldn't say is as good as the aforementioned titles, it's a great game in its own right. All 3 of those games in one package, looking better than ever, playing better than ever. $15, easy recommendation on that. I imagine the majority of you guys have played Bioshock at some point, but if you haven't, it's time to remedy that and pick up Bioshock the Collection, and at this price, you can't go wrong. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, as a part of this retro sale, so many great deals from Red Faction, Zone of the Ender, Shadow of the Colossus, Bioshock. You've got a lot of high quality franchises seeing great discounts. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.